Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. The alarm never had to ring. Adaora lay awake beside her packed suitcase, listening to the hum of a generator and the slow rhythm of her husband's breath. She touched the photo from their court wedding, then turned it face down. She slid the bank card and the Nissan keys onto the bedside table and stared at the pale groove on her ring finger. The band lay beside the frame, small as a decision. None of her rehearsed exits had prepared her for the wait inside this ordinary morning. Ada? Chinedu's voice was thick with sleep. He blinked at the suitcase. What's going on? I'm leaving, she said. Today? He sat up. Leaving where? We have the pitch at 9. Is this a joke? She shook her head. I can't do this anymore. The room held its breath. Chinedu stood. What did I do? He asked carefully. If it's money, I'll fix it. If it's my mother, I'll talk to her. It's not your mother. Then what is it? His voice sharpened. You don't wake me before sunrise and end a marriage like you're canceling DSTV. Did someone tell you something? Adaora kept her eyes on the wardrobe so she wouldn't drown in his. In her head, a different room replayed. Ngozi's laugh, a stranger's gravel voice, numbers spoken like bullets. If you talk, we bury him with you. She swallowed. I'm sorry. Sorry? He let out a brittle sound. That's what you have? She gripped the handle. He caught her wrist, gentle, familiar. Look at me. She did. The stubborn kindness in his face made everything harder. Chinedu, she said, I love you. But I have to go. Why? Because your cousin has turned your company into a doorway for men who don't knock. Because the police will follow money trails drawn with your name and not hers. Because if you know, you'll fight and fighting will sink you. Her mouth refused the truth. Because I can't breathe, she said, wincing at the half-lie. He stepped back as if she'd pushed him. So that's it. You're bored. Maybe there's another man. Don't, she whispered. Explain it then. He gestured toward the corridor. Explain to the compound why you're dragging a box out of my house like a thief. The doorbell chimed. Mama Grace stood outside with a covered basket. The brightness on her face dimmed at the suitcase. My children? Your daughter says she can't breathe here, Chinedu said tightly. She's leaving. Mama Grace looked from one to the other, reading what wasn't being said. Adaora? I'll come to yours, Adaora replied. For a while. For a while, Chinedu repeated, bitterly amused. Take her forever if you like. Chinedu, Mama Grace warned. Lower your voice. With respect, Ma, your daughter is the one burning the house. Please, Adaora said. Not like this. Mama Grace studied her, saw fear shaped like resolve and sighed. Okay, we go to my house. Eat first. She lifted the cloth. Accra. Hot. Chinedu stared at the basket as if it were a trophy he hadn't won. Share your victory breakfast, he said. Tell her why you freed yourself. Adaora met his eyes. You will hate me, she said softly. Maybe for a long time. One day, I hope you understand. Understand what? That you changed your mind about being married? That I wasn't enough. Her phone buzzed. Preview, call me when you can, Ngozi. The name burned. Adaora slid the phone into her pocket and turned to the door. Goodbye, Chinedu. She rolled the suitcase into the corridor. Behind her, his voice followed. You'll regret this, Ada? If she looked back, she would stay. She didn't. On the stairs, Mama Grace whispered, Is he hurting you? No, Adaora said. This is me. In my house you will rest, Mama Grace said. Then we will talk. The load your mouth can't carry we will lift together. At the gate, the gateman leaned on his stool. Madam, you day travel? For a while, Adaora said. They squeezed into a kiki at the junction. Adaora powered off her phone and set it face down on her lap. Tears threatened, she pressed her tongue to the roof of her mouth to hold them back. Eat, Mama Grace said, pressing Accra into her palm. Oil will steady you. Adaora took a bite and almost choked on gratitude. I'm sorry, Mama. We don't say sorry before we understand the thing, Mama Grace replied. We will arrive first. With each meter, Adaora felt distance opening like a wound and, beneath it, a strip of breath. It wasn't freedom. It was space to work, Dr. Kelvin later, transactions to trace and a thread to pull, patience and danger. At Mama Grace's flat, a Bible lay open on the center table. Adaora set the suitcase by the sofa and stood still, as if sudden movement might break her. Sit, Mama Grace said. Drink water. Adaora drank. When she set the cup down, her hands were shaking. "I can't explain everything," she said. "Not yet." "Then explain something," Mama Grace said gently. "Give me one stone and I will help you find the rest." "Someone close to us is dangerous," Adora said. "If I stay, Chinidu will be dragged into what he doesn't see." "Who is the someone?" The answer crowded her tongue. She swallowed it. "I can't say." "Then we start with what you can do," Mama Grace said. "I need to meet Dr. Kelvin," Adora said. "We'll map what I know." "And Chinidu?" "He has to hate me for now." Mama Grace took her hand. "Then let him hate you alive." Adora nodded, tears spilling. Outside Declant. Inside, a woman who loved a man enough to leave him opened a notebook and began the work of saving him from a danger he would deny. She wiped her face, drew a breath that hurt, and wrote a name at the top of the page. The morning after Adora left, the news spread through their neighborhood faster than harmattan dust. At the corner store, Mrs. Uche whispered to the woman buying bread, "I heard Adora carried her load before dawn. No quarrel, nothing. Just waka." By noon it wasn't just she left. It was she ran away. And by evening, it had mutated into she must have found another man. Chinidu sat in his office with two of his friends, Kalechi and Dinladi, shaking his head over a bottle of malt. "Can you imagine?" he said, his voice tight. "I woke up and my wife was gone. No fight. No explanation. Just gone." Dinladi leaned forward. "Omo, women don't just disappear. Something is pushing her. Maybe she got tired of the grind." Kalechi, less tactful, snorted. "Or someone else is filling the space you couldn't." Chinidu shot him a glare. "Don't start." "Sorry," Kalechi said, grinning in a way that didn't look sorry at all. Chinidu leaned back. "You know what? Let them talk. If she wants the world to think she's restless, fine. I'll help the story. No one will think I'm the problem." That evening he went to see his auntie, Ngozi's mother. Ngozi was there, wearing a fitted Ankara dress and that knowing smile. "Chinidu, my dear," she said warmly, "I heard about Adora. Such a shame. But maybe God is redirecting you to someone who deserves you." He raised an eyebrow. "Deserves me?" Ngozi's tone was innocent. "Well, sometimes women don't appreciate the man they have until it's too late." Meanwhile, Adora was sitting on Mama Grace's couch, phone switched off, sipping tea she didn't taste. Her mother studied her. "The whole street is talking. Chinidu is telling people you left because you were bored." Adora's lips tightened. "Let them believe it. That's not a small thing to carry," Mama Grace warned. "They will throw that stone at you everywhere you go." Adora stared into her cup. "Better they throw it at me than drag Chinidu into something that could finish him." Mama Grace's brow furrowed. "Finish him how?" Adora opened her mouth, then closed it. "Mama, the less you know, the safer you are too." In her mind, she saw Ngozi smirk, heard that low voice from weeks ago. "If you open your mouth, we bury him with you." She leaned back and let the silence settle, knowing the rumors would keep growing, and that she couldn't stop them. 3 days later, Chinidu's patience snapped. He drove to Mama Grace's house, his silver Camry gleaming in the midday sun. Mama Grace was sweeping the veranda when she saw him. "Chinidu, you should have called." "I came for my wife," he said bluntly. "Where is she?" Mama Grace planted her broom against the wall. "She's resting. And she's not ready to talk to you." He stepped closer. "Then tell her I'm here. I'm not leaving without seeing her." Inside, Adora heard the deep rumble of his voice. Her hands froze over the sink. Mama Grace came in. "He's outside." Adora shook her head quickly. "I can't face him now." "Daughter, this running will not end the storm," Mama Grace said softly. "Better I run than stand in the fire and burn," Adora murmured. But Chinidu had already stepped inside. "So you're hiding now?" She turned slowly. "Chinidu." "Don't Chinidu me," he snapped. "You've humiliated me in front of everyone. I defended you, told people you just needed space, but maybe I should tell them the truth." "What truth?" Adora asked evenly. "That you walked out for no reason. That maybe there's someone else." She flinched. "That's not fair." "What's fair?" His voice rose. "You left without a word. Do you know how it feels to wake up and find your home empty?" Adora's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." "You think sorry will fix my reputation? My clients are asking if I'm stable enough to run a business." Mama Grace stepped between them. "That's enough. You're in my house, Chinidu." He looked from mother to daughter, jaw set. "You'll regret this, Ada. I promise you." And with that, he stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Adoora sank into the nearest chair, her hands trembling. Mama Grace knelt beside her. "What are you protecting him from?" Adoora stared at the floor. "Something that could destroy him." The next morning, Adoora took a tricycle to Dr. Kelvin's small private clinic. She wore oversized sunglasses and a scarf, as though hiding from more than just the sun. Dr. Kelvin looked up from his desk as she entered. "Ada, you look tired." "I haven't slept much." "Sit." He poured her a glass of water. "I assume this visit isn't for a checkup." She hesitated. "It's about Ngozi." His eyes narrowed. "Chinedu's cousin?" Adoora nodded. "I overheard her 2 weeks ago. She was with a man I didn't know, talking about using Chinedu's business to move money. Illegal money." Dr. Kelvin's expression darkened. "And you believe it?" "I don't just believe. I know. I heard the figures, the plan. If Chinedu's name is on those accounts, he'll go down with them." "And you left, to protect him?" "Yes. If I stay, I'm a target. If I tell him, he'll confront her, and she'll drag him into the mess with fake evidence. I've seen what she can do." Kelvin leaned back. "You're taking a heavy burden alone." Adoora gave a humorless laugh. "I'd rather carry it alone than visit him in prison." "Then you need proof. Leaving isn't enough. Sooner or later he'll be fully entangled." She nodded slowly. "Help me get it." Kelvin reached for a notepad. "First step, find the man she was with. If we can trace him, we can trace the money." Adoora left the clinic with a thin thread of hope, and a thicker rope of fear. That weekend, Chinedu attended a family gathering. Ngozi was there, wearing a silk blouse and gold earrings, her arm slipping through his as though it belonged there. "Poor you," she murmured, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "First Adoora abandons you, now people are whispering behind your back." "I'm fine," Chinedu said tightly. "Of course you are. Strong men like you move on quickly." She smiled, tilting her head. "If you need someone who understands you, you know where to find me." His aunt clapped him on the shoulder. "Ngozi's right. Family stands by you when others walk away." Later that night, Chinedu saw a photo of himself and Ngozi posted online, her smile bright, his expression unreadable. Across town, Adoora saw the same photo on her neighbor's phone. Her stomach twisted. "She's moving in," she whispered. Mama Grace glanced over her shoulder. "That's Chinedu?" "Yes. And that's the woman who will ruin him if I don't act fast." Her phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Kelvin. "Found the man. We need to talk." Adoora's pulse quickened. The clock was ticking. 2 weeks before Adoora left, she had been on her way to the kitchen when she heard voices drifting from the veranda. She stopped in the shadows. It was Ngozi. "The accounts are clean. His name carries weight. By the time they trace anything, the trail will be cold." The man with her had a gravelly voice. "You're sure he won't suspect?" Ngozi chuckled. "He trusts me like a sister. Adoora is the only one who ever gives me side-eye. But that's fine. She'll be gone soon." Adoora's stomach had dropped. "Gone soon?" The man lowered his voice. "And if she talks?" Ngozi's reply was sharp. "If she opens her mouth, we bury him with her." Adoora had backed away quietly, her heart hammering. That night, she'd lain beside Chinedu watching him sleep, wondering if he could survive the storm brewing in his own house. The next morning she'd gone to Dr. Kelvin. "If she's using his business for laundering and his name is on the paperwork, he's as good as guilty," Kelvin had finished. Even if he didn't know. That was when Adoora made her choice. Better to leave and let him think she didn't love him than stay and watch him be destroyed. Adoora didn't wait long to confront Ngozi. She called her, voice steady. "We need to talk. Just us." They met at a quiet cafe near the old post office. Ngozi arrived in oversized sunglasses and a smug smile. "Adoora, I thought you'd be busy, packing." Adoora ignored the jab. "I know what you're doing. I know about the laundering." Ngozi sipped her juice calmly. "Do you now?" "Stay away from Chinedu," Adoora said. "If you care at all about this family, you'll back off." Ngozi's smile widened. "And if I don't?" "Then I'll tell him everything." Ngozi leaned forward, voice dropping. "If you tell him, I'll make sure the police find his name on every dirty transfer I've ever made. I've already prepared the paperwork. One phone call and he's finished. He'll spend years in prison swearing he's innocent." Adoora's blood ran cold. "You do that to your own cousin?" Ngozi's tone was ice. "You think I care about blood when money's involved?" That night, Adoora sat on her bed, staring at her packed suitcase. She'd realized she couldn't win by staying. Her only weapon was distance. With Adaora gone, Ngozi began appearing at Chinedu's side more often. Business dinners, networking events, even Sunday service. "Your cousin is such a blessing," a church elder told him one morning. "Not everyone will stand by you after your wife walks out." Chinedu gave a tight smile. Ngozi's been supportive. At one dinner, Ngozi clinked her glass against his. "To new beginnings," she said. He laughed lightly. "This isn't a romance novel, Ngozi?" "Not yet," she teased. Meanwhile, Adaora was watching from the margins. A friend sent her photos, Ngozi in designer dresses, always close enough to Chinedu to look like they belonged together. One evening, Mama Grace found Adaora scrolling through the images. "Why are you torturing yourself?" "I need to see how far she's gotten," Adaora replied. "And when you've seen?" Mama Grace asked. "Then I'll know when to act," Adaora said quietly. It started with a phone call to Adaora from an old client. "Have you heard? Chinedu's business account took a hit. Millions gone overnight." Adaora's stomach tightened. She called Dr. Kelvin immediately. "It's begun." "What happened?" he asked. "Ngozi's emptied something. I know her pattern. She'll tell him it's just a mix-up, then offer to help with a loan. That loan will come from her contacts, the same people who do the laundering." Kelvin sighed. "We need to move faster." Later that day, Chinedu sat in his office, head in his hands. "It doesn't make sense," he told Ngozi. "One minute the funds are there, the next they're gone." Ngozi laid a manicured hand on his arm. "Let me help. I have friends who can replace the money. Just until you stabilize." Chinedu hesitated. "What kind of friends?" "Good ones," she said smoothly. By the end of the week, Chinedu had taken the loan. Adaora heard the news from Mama Grace's neighbor. "He signed something with her people." Adaora pressed her fingers to her temples. "She's pulling him under." Mama Grace wasn't a woman who pried, but that changed when she overheard Adaora on the phone with Dr. Kelvin. "She's moving the money through his company," Adaora was saying. "If the police get involved, he'll go down with her." Mama Grace stepped into the room. "Who will go down?" Adaora froze. "Mama? You've been protecting him from something serious, haven't you?" Adaora swallowed. "If I tell him, Ngozi will plant evidence against him. He'll be arrested. I left so she wouldn't have that leverage." Mama Grace's face was a mix of shock and admiration. "And you let the whole world think you're a selfish wife? Just to keep him safe?" "I'd rather they think the worst of me than see him in prison," Adaora said. Mama Grace touched her arm. "Then we can't just sit here. We find proof. We take her down before she takes him under." For the first time in weeks, Adaora felt less alone. The loan Ngozi arranged came with smiles and handshakes, but also with fine print Chinedu didn't read. 3 weeks later, an official-looking envelope landed on his desk. Notice of investigation. Fraud, suspicious transactions, money laundering. His heart pounded as he scanned the lines. He called Ngozi immediately. "What is this?" "Relax," she said lightly. "These things happen when you do big transactions. I'll handle it." "Handle what?" "They're accusing me of fraud." "Leave it to me, Chinedu," she purred. That night, Chinedu couldn't sleep. He sat at the dining table, staring at the papers. His phone buzzed. "Kelechi." "I heard something, bro," Kelechi said. "Your name is all over some investigation file. You need to be careful." Meanwhile, Adaora sat with Dr. Kelvin reviewing a spreadsheet. "Here," she said, pointing. "This transaction is one of Ngozi's." She routed it through Chinedu's business account. Kelvin nodded grimly. "We'll need more. If the police come for him, we need to get to them first." But Adaora knew Ngozi was tightening the noose. Adaora decided to try one last direct approach. She called Ngozi and asked to meet. They sat in a sleek lounge, low music humming in the background. "I'm giving you one last chance," Adaora said. "Step away from Chinedu. Cancel whatever you've put in motion." Ngozi smiled lazily. "Why should I? He's in deeper now than ever. I've got enough forged documents to make it look like he orchestrated the whole operation. One leak and he's finished." "You think you'll get away with it?" Ngozi leaned forward. "I don't think. I know. And if you push me, I'll make sure you're dragged into it too." Adaora clenched her fists. "You won't win forever." Ngozi sipped her drink. "I only need to win long enough." When Adaora left, her legs were trembling, not from fear but from the realization that she had no choice but to go all in. That night she called Dr. Kelvin. "We need to speed this up. If I wait any longer, it'll be too late." It happened on a Tuesday morning. Chinedu was in a meeting with 2 clients when uniformed officers entered his office. "Mr. Chinedu Okafor?" the lead officer asked. "Yes. You're under arrest for fraud and money laundering. You have the right to remain silent." "What? This is a mistake." The officers handcuffed him in front of his stunned clients. Phones clicked, recording every moment. At the station he sat in an interrogation room, bewildered. "I haven't done anything." The officer slid a file across the table. "Then explain these transfers. All from your account." Chinedu's eyes widened at the figures. "I didn't make these." Across town, Adaora heard the news from Mama Grace's neighbor. They took him from his office like a common thief. Adaora's heart ached, but her resolve hardened. "This is exactly what I was trying to prevent. Now I have to fix it." The cell was dim and smelled of damp cement. Chinedu sat on the narrow bench, head in his hands. That evening Ngozi arrived, dressed immaculately. She stood outside the bars, shaking her head sympathetically. "It's such a shame, cousin. But I'll do everything I can to help you." Chinedu looked up. "Did you know about this?" "Of course not," she lied smoothly. "But you need to trust me now." After she left, Chinedu stared at the wall, her words echoing. Something about her smile felt wrong. For the first time he thought of Adaora. Could she have known something? Did she leave to avoid this? But before the thought could root, another voice in his head, Ngozi's, whispered, "She abandoned you. She doesn't care." Adaora met Dr. Kelvin in his office, her eyes fierce. "We're not waiting anymore. We're taking her down." Kelvin pushed a folder toward her. "Here's the trail. Ngozi's accounts, her transactions with known criminal networks, and the transfers she funneled through Chinedu's company." Adaora studied each page carefully. "This is enough?" "More than enough. But we have to deliver it anonymously. If she knows it's from you, she'll retaliate." Adaora nodded. "Then let's do it." That night, she slipped a thick envelope into a police tip-off box, her hand steady for the first time in months. When she walked away, she didn't look back. 2 days after Adaora dropped the evidence, the city woke to headlines that exploded across WhatsApp groups and morning radio. Prominent businesswoman arrested in multi-million naira laundering scheme. Ngozi's photo, flawless makeup, hand shielding her face, was everywhere. At the police station, she was led in cuffs past reporters shouting her name. "No comment," she snapped, trying to hide from the flashing cameras. Chinedu, still in custody, saw the commotion from his cell. A junior officer passed by, shaking his head. "That woman's something else. Pretending to help you while she was the one sinking you." Chinedu frowned. "What are you talking about?" The officer smirked. "Ngozi, your cousin. The fraud case. She was the mastermind. Someone gave us enough evidence to put her away. Even your name is getting cleared now." Chinedu's pulse raced. "Who gave you the evidence?" The officer shrugged. "Anonymous source." Across town, Adaora was sitting at Mama Grace's table, peeling oranges. She didn't look at the TV as Ngozi's arrest replayed for the 3rd time. "You did it?" Mama Grace whispered. "Not yet," Adaora replied. "He's free, but that doesn't mean he understands." Chinedu was released later that afternoon, his name formally cleared. The sun felt warmer on his skin than it had in months. At the exit gate, a plainclothes officer approached him quietly. "Mr. Okafor?" "Yes." "Off the record, it was your ex-wife who brought the evidence. Without her, you'd still be inside." Chinedu's breath caught. "Adaora? She didn't want her name in it. Said it was safer for you that way." The officer walked away, leaving Chinedu frozen in the courtyard. Memories flooded in, her pale face the morning she left, the way she'd said, "You will hate me, maybe for a long time. One day I hope you understand." And now he understood. He drove straight to Mama Grace's house, rehearsing 100 questions in his head. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Inside, Adaora was folding laundry when the knock came. She opened the door and froze. "Chinedu," she breathed. He looked at her for a long moment. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her mouth went dry. "Because if I did, you wouldn't have believed me. You'd have defended her. And you'd be in prison right now." They stood in the narrow hallway, the air thick with everything unsaid. "I deserve the truth," Chinedu said quietly, though his voice trembled with contained emotion. Adaora swallowed. "The night I overheard Ngozi's plan, I knew if I stayed and fought from within, she'd destroy you, with forged evidence, with lies. I couldn't protect you if you were in the line of fire. So I left." His brows knit together. "You let me believe you were unfaithful. You let the whole world think you were selfish. It was the only way to keep Ngozi from suspecting I was onto her. If she thought we were still close, she'd have watched me, and she'd have tied you to her crimes before I could act. Chinedu took a step closer. Do you have any idea how much it hurt? How angry I was? Yes, Adaora said, her voice breaking. But your anger was safer than your arrest. He stared at her, chest rising and falling. And now? Now you're free, she said softly. That's all I wanted. For a moment, silence pressed in. Then he whispered, Ada? I'm sorry. Rain began in needles that stitched the dust to the street. Adaora and Chinedu stood in Mama Grace's sitting room, not meeting each other's eyes. A kettle clicked off. In the kitchen, Mama Grace lingered out of the way. I don't know where to start, Chinedu said. His voice carried months of weariness, and a steadiness Adaora hadn't heard since before everything cracked. Start anywhere, she replied, folding the damp hem of a dish towel. Truth doesn't care about order. He exhaled. I was proud. Too proud to be wrong about family. Too proud to imagine I'd been blind. When you left, that pride needed a villain. He swallowed. I chose you. Adaora studied the floor tiles, grout like a map of old roads. I made it easy. That doesn't make it right. He stepped closer, then stopped, respecting the invisible line between them. You warned me in your silence. I didn't know how to read it. She gave a thin smile. Silence is a bad translator. He nodded. Ada, I'm sorry. For the names I called you in my head. For the story I told to protect my face. For shouting in your mother's compound. For not trusting the woman I vowed to trust first. The kettle clinked. Mama Grace emerged with 2 mugs and a small plate of biscuits. Hot cocoa, she said, setting them down. Sweet makes truth easier to swallow. She touched Adaora's shoulder. I'll be in my room. When the door clicked, Chinedu cupped a mug he didn't drink from. A plainclothes officer told me you brought the evidence, he said. You didn't sign your name. You could have told everyone. You could have humiliated me the way I humiliated you. I wasn't trying to win, Adaora said, finally lifting her gaze. I was trying to end a war. He winced. Ngozi will answer, Adaora finished. And so will the men behind her. Chinedu nodded. I'll cooperate with the investigation. My lawyer says I'm free, but we still have to clean the mud. Rain drummed on the zinc roof. Do you remember our first apartment? He asked softly. How the ceiling leaked in 3 places and we set bowls like a percussion set? Adaora laughed unexpectedly. And how you named them? Tenor, alto, soprano. His smile tugged crooked. We ate Gary by candlelight and pretended we were rich because we had peace. The smile faded. I broke that peace. We both did, Adaora murmured. I broke it to save you. You broke it to save face. He flinched, then nodded. Yes. Silence stretched like a blanket. He set the mug down. I want to ask for another chance, he said. But I know wanting isn't deserving. Adaora flattened the towel. What would another chance look like? Honesty even when it bruises, he said. Therapy because we need tools we don't have. Boundaries with family. Transparency in business. No shortcuts. Patience while trust grows back like hair after a bad cut. She let the image bloom, then wither. Good words. They're not just words. He placed his phone on the table. I drafted a public statement. It says I wronged you. That I was wrong about Ngozi and I'm cooperating fully. It says gossip is an acid that burns truth and I poured it. If you want, I'll delete it. If you want, I'll read it at church. Adaora blinked. Why show me? Because apology without accountability is performance, he said. You don't owe me belief, but you deserve more than words thrown into the wind. The rain softened. I forgive you, she said. The 3 words landed like warm cloth on cold skin. Chinedu closed his eyes, a tear escaping. Thank you. But forgiveness isn't a bridge back to the same house, Adaora added. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He opened his eyes, pain and acceptance wrestling there. I expected that. I can't unspool what this did to me, she said. Leaving remade me. I sleep lighter. I listen to shadows. Loving you was a home. Protecting you was a battlefield. I need a long wilderness before I choose any home again. Chinedu pressed his lips together. Can I walk along the edge of that wilderness, he asked, without dragging you back? You can walk your own, she said gently. We can meet at the market sometimes. Share news of harvests and droughts. But the path between our doors must stay grassy for now. I'll respect that. They spoke of practical things. The joint account to close, the furniture she wanted to keep, none, the documents he'd collect. the lawyer's schedule, the church elders he would face without weaponizing her absence. "I'll tell them I failed us," he said. "Not you." "Good," she replied. "Truth is cheap when you buy it late." He almost smiled. "You and your proverbs. You and your late receipts," she countered, a teasing light in her eyes. A car horn blurted. Mama Grace's door creaked open a fraction. She didn't intrude. Chinedu stood. "May I?" He gestured toward the doorway. Edaora rose too. At the threshold he paused. "Thank you for loving me until it hurt," he said. "Thank you for leaving before I drowned." "Thank you for learning to swim," she answered. Rain beaded on the hibiscus leaves by the steps. He stepped into the post-storm light, then turned back. "If you ever need anything, paperwork, a witness, a cousin to chase away, call me." "I will," she said. He descended the stairs. Halfway down he looked up. "Ada?" "Yes." "I'm going to be a better man," he said. "Even if you never see it." She held his gaze. "Then become him for the man you live with every day." He nodded once, firm. Then he went, footsteps fading into the hum of the street. Edaora stood in the doorway a moment longer. Behind her, Mama Grace exhaled. "Cocoa is good medicine," her mother said. "Apology is better," Edaora replied and closed the door on the past. Morning broke clear as if the city had rinsed itself overnight. Edaora woke before the neighborhood roosters and lay still, listening to the small music of Mama Grace's flat. A kettle sighing, a lizard scritching across the window net, a distant vendor calling, "Bread. Hot bread." She let the sound stitch her back into herself. Today was not for fights or explanations. Today was for choosing the quiet road and walking it well. She washed her face, tied a scarf, and carried her notebook to the balcony. The hibiscus wore new drops like beads. She opened to a clean page and drew 2 columns, then wrote at the top, "What to release. What to keep." Under release she listed, "The ring, the apartment, the account, the waiting for someone to read my silence." Under keep she wrote, "My name, my peace, my courage, the lesson that love can require leaving." Mama Grace appeared with pap and akra. "Eat then plan," she said. "I already planned," Edaora replied, smiling. "But I will eat." They ate quietly, sharing a bowl, breaking the hot cakes in half the way they had when money was thin and laughter fat. When they finished, Mama Grace said, "Church elder called. He wants to know if you will return to the women's group. They miss your stubborn gentleness." "Maybe next month," Edaora said. "I want to learn my new shape before standing in the old room." "Take your time," Mama Grace said. "God is not marking attendance with a cane." Her phone buzzed with messages she hadn't opened yet. Friends checking on her, a neighbor sending a photo of the street after the rain, a short text from Chinedu, "Thank you again. I'll send the lawyer's draft by noon. Wishing you a calm day." She typed back after a long breath, "Received. Wishing you the same." At 10, she met Dr. Kelvin at the station to sign a statement as a confidential witness. The officer handled her carefully, like a person carrying a jar with a crack. "Your input helped stop bigger rot," he said. "Some of the men are already talking." "We still lock our doors at night," Mama Grace muttered, but she nodded her thanks. Outside, the sky was a clean blue that felt almost performative. Kelvin walked beside Edaora. "How are you?" "Like a person stepping off a boat," she said. "The ground feels strange." "That's normal," he said. "It will stop swaying." "Do you ever get tired of being the voice of reason?" she asked. "Often," he said, smiling. "But it pays better than panic." They discussed next steps. Court dates she might not need to attend, how to redirect any remaining inquiries to the lawyer, what to do if Ngozi's people tried to reach out. "Block every number that smells like yesterday," Kelvin said. "Let the law do the talking." On the way home, Edaora asked the tricycle driver to stop by mile 12. She bought tomatoes, pepper, onions, and a Fanta for the ride back. The woman selling fish winked. "Madam, your eyes are brighter today." "Sleep did its work," Edaora said. Back at the flat, she cooked for the first time in weeks, stirring stew until the oil rose ruby to the top. Mama Grace danced small circles to a radio hymn. "Ah, aroma of healing," she sang. Afternoon folded into evening with the laziness of heat. The compound children played Sue in chalked squares. Edaora sat on the steps and watched them, smiling when they pretended not to cheat. Life continued with its ordinary conspiracies. A shadow fell across the gate. It was Chinedu. He stood respectfully outside until the gateman waved him in. He was dressed simply, the gold watch replaced with a plain one. When he saw Edaora, he raised a hand and stopped 3 steps away. "I won't stay," he said softly. I brought the documents for you to review. And something else. He handed her a brown envelope and a small box wrapped in newspaper. She opened the envelope first. The lawyer's draft of the separation terms, clean and generous, no hidden hooks. The title transfer for the car she had insisted he keep. A receipt from a foundation donation made in her name to a legal aid clinic. The small box held the court wedding photo newly framed. It belongs with you, he said. She traced the edge of the frame. Thank you. They stood in companionable silence, the kind that follows a war when both sides are finally tired. Children laughed over a disputed hop. A plane stitched a white line across the sky. I heard you're traveling, he said. 2 weeks, she said. To remember who I was before I learned to hide. He nodded. Travel well. She hesitated. You too. Wherever you're going. He smiled a little. Mostly to work and to the counselor's chair. He stepped back. Take care, Ada. You too, Nedu. He left the way he'd come, with a small wave for the gateman and a thank you for the children who parted like a river to let him pass. When the gate clicked, Adaora exhaled and felt not loss but completion. Dusk gathered like a shawl. She and Mama Grace washed plates and left them to dry on the rack. Later, they knelt by the bed and prayed brief prayers that felt less like requests and more like gratitude. For deliverance without gloating, for justice without bitterness, for the stubbornness of peace. Before dawn, she and Mama Grace rode to the park. The air held that soft pre-morning chill. Lagos hides in a drawer. Vendors yawned open their coolers. A bus conductor shouted destinations in a voice already hoarse with the day. At the gate, Mama Grace squeezed her hand. The heart has 2 legs, she said. One to go forward, one to stand steady. Use both. I will, Adaora said, laughing through a throat that wanted to close. They embraced, a hug that smelled of shea butter and pepper stew. Adaora climbed into the bus, chose a window seat and set her bag on her lap. As the engine coughed awake, she pulled out her notebook. On the last page she wrote, I left to love. I returned to live. The bus rolled. Markets uncurled. Morning accepted its duty. Adaora rested her head against the glass and watched the city slide by, her chest light, her spirit unbroken, her steps already choosing the quiet road she had named for herself. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.